And here we are. Now we're going to be talking a little bit about New York Comic Con. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Izzy. I'm the host of the Izzyverse, and we're going to have a great conversation about all the good, all the bad, and all, unfortunately, the ugly that happened in this weekend in New York Comic Con. I was part of New York Comic Con. I was tabling. I had a panel. I also was able to roam the show. I got some exclusives. I'll talk a little bit more about those as we go. But I want to introduce to you my guests for this evening for the show, all of which were in Comic Con one day or multiple days, starting with someone who's been in the channel before. So I want to bring him up. He loves doing reviews, and you're going to look his review that's going to be coming out pretty soon on Instagram. I'm going to introduce to you guys Wild Goldine. What's going on, Wild? Welcome back.
I'm still working on it. Yes, I'm back, and
Yes,
I will do a review in about a week. So,
oh yeah, you got to see Wild Goldine's reviews, man. They're insane. They're detailed. They're on the point. They're very professional, and you got to watch him. He posts them, so be on the lookout for that one in Wild Goldine on Instagram. He's also on Twitch, happening right now.
That's
so
right.
we're double simulcast, right? And there goes Andrew saying what's up already. Hello, Andrew. We were talking earlier. All right, now we're going to bring someone else that was at the show. He's a good old friend of mine. This is the first time he's on the show. I've known this guy for as long as I know my daughters. How's that for an answer? I'm bringing to the show, first time to the show, our boy Josh. What's going on, Josh?
What's up, everyone? Good to be here.
All right, Josh, we go back a long time. I got to say, like, it's got to be, what, 15 years now?
Just about 15 years, yeah,
right?
yeah.
You would, like you said, we were talking earlier. His wife doesn't even know who I was. Who? It's like, you don't know Izzy? It's Izzy. Right. So welcome to the show. Thank you for coming to the show, Josh. There goes Andrew already shouting you out. Look at Andrew's like shouting you out right there.
Andrew. Yeah, man, right. It's been so long.
And finally, someone who actually had an experience in Comic-Con that we're going to talk a little bit about. But what you don't know is that he actually won an Izzy giveaway, and as a result, we ended up building a relationship by way of Facebook. So I'm bringing into the channel again, first time in the channel, Jean Paul. What's up, Jean Paul?
Hey everyone, how are you?
Yeah, Jean Paul.
Right, we may have some more guests coming in. It's all depending on their schedules. So who knows? We may have some more people come in. But right now, this is the group. It's the four of us. And really, what we're going to do right now is we're going to talk about Comic-Con. We're going to talk about what Comic-Con means to us every year as we go, what was cool about this year, what was different about this year, and unfortunately, some of the things that didn't work out this year. But we'll talk about that when we get to later. I know you guys want the juicy gossip because that's what everybody wants, right? Yeah. But let's go ahead and start off with why we go to Comic-Con in the first place. So, and I love this group because there is a diverse group of things that we all do. I go to Comic-Con as a professional. I've been going to Comic-Con since day one of Comic-Con. So I've been in every single Comic-Con to date, never missed one. And I go usually as an artist, and I go as a professional, and sometimes I'm tabling, sometimes I'm not. But this year I was tabling, as I told you guys before. For me, the experience is always... It's very similar every year where I get to meet people, I get to talk to people, I get to do sketches for people and have fun. I'll go with you, Josh. You tell me your experience with Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I hadn't been to Comic-Con. I think it's been about 8 years. And I used to go, and just like you, Izzy, I used to go as a professional, go all 4 days, man the table, meet people, network. Always with an agenda, right? I had something, either I needed an artist for my book or wanted to network or connect with other professionals. And then this year is the first time I've been in a long time due to kids, work, life. And I was like, I'm just going as a fan. I don't have anything to sell. Maybe a little bit of money in my pocket. I'm just going to experience it. And whenever you go to Comic-Con, you're just able to get those experiences. And I took my dad for the first time. He's never been to Comic-Con.
We definitely got to talk about that.
We got to talk about my dad. But I was kind of like explaining to him how I was going. I was like, look, this is like being able to meet an artist whose work that you love and shake their hand and talk to them and about whatever, the little things. That's an experience. You can't get that just sitting at home or watching no offense, YouTube or whatever, but
Exactly.
None taken.
and
But now
you-
you can.
you're right. Yeah, exactly. Right. You can't replace that. You know, you got Brendan Fraser, you got Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, all those awesome people that, I don't like to worship celebrities, but these are like important figures, at least to me in my life. So just to be like in the room, rub shoulders, meet new people, check out all the costumes, check out all the different things. One thing I love about Comic-Con, I feel like every single there is something that I can vibe with, right? It's like in other areas of my life, it's like, well, yeah, I might like this thing, not like this one thing, but everywhere I turn to Comic-Con, it's like, this is dope. I want to get more of this. So it was an awesome experience.
Okay. Jean-Paul, you tell me about your experiences with Comic-Con before and after. Well, and again, we'll talk a little bit about your experience this year, but we'll leave that for later.
Right. Yes, for me, I mean, I've been going for the last 8 years. I think in the beginning it was more of a sort of pop culture kind of thing, just to check out the panels and see if I can run into any celebs and things like that. But after some time, I got more involved with the comic books and the artists, getting to know them as well, in person and through their socials as well. So that's pretty much why I go to them now. I mainly spend a lot of time at Artist Alley or at a lot of these comic store booths, and that way I can interact better with them and pick up any exclusives that they have, things like that. But like Josh said, being able to meet other people as well that have similar interests and make friends, build a little community out of it, it's all worthwhile in the end.
Awesome. And Wild Goldine, what's your purpose for going to Comic-Con?
I've been to New York Comic Con since 2016, and as attendee, I wanted to see all the cosplayers, all the vendors, and especially the ones in Artist Alley, to support them, and also meet celebrities, the voice actors, voice actresses, and also the panels, which I barely went to this year because there was just so many people. But overall,
I definitely want to talk about the panels.
I barely went into any. But every time I go to a con now, I try to go to every single square footage of the con to make the most out of it, given that we all spent our hard-earned money on it, and make the most out of it. So it's really is an exploration and to get away from all the stress and normie land. No offense with the normies, but but I need a break from reality. That's why I go to Comic-Con.
Awesome. So we all have very similar reasons why we go to Comic-Con, but at the same time, like I know with you, Wild Goldine, you're very heavy in the cosplay world.
That's right.
You do cosplay. You did cosplay this year as well. And then for like in Josh and myself, we've gone as professionals. We've tabled at shows before. And Jean-Paul, in your case, where you go in really as a fan that really appreciates the art form. And you become more of than just a fan, where you're kind of like part of the community in that way. And really what's great about the Comic-Con world and New York Comic-Con in particular is the fact that it is a community-based group. It, as much as crazy as it may sound, it's very based on community and how everybody really, in a nutshell, most people, not everybody, but most people, they love each other. It's and Josh, don't get offended by this line. It's like going to church sometimes in a weird way, right?
A lot of similarities.
There's a lot of similarities, but it is community based. And it's not substitute for church for those of you that go to church. I don't want to say that, but the truth is that when we go there, everyone's a friend. Everyone's close to each other. Everyone's willing to help each other out in some capacity or another. That still remains to be true, with the exception of some few that don't understand that. This year was a very interesting Comic-Con because I want to say this was the real first big year back from the pandemic. We had a Comic-Con last year. We had one. It existed. It did have a good turnout, but something about it was off because we had no Marvel, we had no DC. Some of the major vendors weren't there either. So it was more like an indie Comic-Con, right? Rather than the Comic-Con that we're accustomed to. Some of the things that I liked about this year's Comic-Con was one, we did have Marvel back. So I'm happy to say that Marvel returned. And did they come back in a splash? Maybe not so much, but they did come back. So it was nice to see that Marvel booth. What else? One thing I did also enjoy was the space. If you notice, they took the aisles and they made them bigger.
Wider.
Now, there's good stuff to that. There's bad stuff to that. The good stuff is more space to walk. The bad stuff is you probably lost an aisle that could have gone for an artist alley or for a small press group. So you did lose out that. So that's some of the stuff I noticed that was cool. Another thing I noticed is the pop in circumstance in Comic-Con. It was still there, right? When you go in there, were you like me when you walked into the showroom floor and you saw that giant Luffy? You went, "What the?"
I took a picture right away.
You know,
Yes,
like I
same.
saw that on Wednesday when we were setting up, and I just went.
You know, Shenron, same thing. The dragon,
Yep.
the dragon from Dragon
Oh
Ball.
yeah, exactly. So the Dragon Ball Z and of course the ship, the
Yes.
pirate ship. That was pretty cool. All right, Jean Paul, you tell me what was like going this year in different from the previous years.
I mean, as you mentioned, last year was less of a crowd. They didn't sell as many tickets to the general public, so which I didn't mind. I'll be honest. It was nice to be able to walk the aisles and not rub shoulders with everybody. Especially
Agreed.
on Saturday. But like you mentioned, there were a lot of booths that were missing, a lot of big names that weren't there. So it was nice to see them. I did spend some time at the Marvel booth. Got a couple of autographs on their Marvel stage and shook a couple of hands of some folks that were there, and kept it moving. I mean, one thing I will notice, like the panels, I think there was way too much of a variety, and unfortunately for me, I didn't get to go to as many as I wish I could. And I think it was just a lot of stuff on the floor that I wanted to see. The panels were just all either around the same time slot or kind of coincided with others. So it was kind of like, all right, which one do I pick? Which one do I go to? And then I had to kind of balance, all right, what's more important, what's on the floor or actually just sitting down and listening to something that I could probably watch later on YouTube.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, how many days did you go for? Did you go for the whole 4-day event?
Yeah, I was there all 4 days. And yeah, overall it was nice. It was good to be able to get in early. I was actually able to get on the floor 10 minutes earlier than everybody else. So that was
Except for
great.
me. I got in there. I was in there. Every day I was in there by 8:00.
Ah, nice.
So and if you guys watch on YouTube, you'll see. I proved it by going on YouTube, right? Josh, which you managed to go one day, right?
Yeah, I was only there Saturday.
So you got to go on Saturday, and before you even go, we actually have someone just walked in. All right, so let's bring him in. Daniel,
Hey guys,
what's going on, Daniel? How you doing?
not much. I just literally got out of D&D just like now, so I'm like, oh, late.
All right, so Daniel, we're talking about our experience with Comic-Con. We talked a little bit about what we loved about Comic-Con as a whole when it comes to like the previous shows and now, and really where we're at this moment is we're talking about our experience so far this year, our positive experience. So right now, Josh was doing it. I'll give you some time to think it through, and then we'll get to you. But Josh, tell me a little bit about your Saturday experience, and I want to hear about Papa Cabrera.
Yeah.
And his experience going in as a first timer.
So I guess I could kind of explain what I enjoyed the most by like contrasting me and my dad. So my dad, I think the first thing he asked me when we got in, he's like, hey, in so many words, what can I buy to make a profit?
You should have come to me with that one. I could have told you a few things.
And look, I've been there. I've bought stuff just to flip. That's not really where I'm at right in life right now. I just kind of want to collect things and enjoy them. if I want to make money, I can go do some more work at my actual job. But and I respect it if anyone who's like, hey, I'm just looking to see what I can pick up and flip. Nothing wrong with that, but that was totally not what I was there for. So I'm going over there. I'm looking through like the original art. I'm looking at the custom pieces. I found this really nice woodcut that I was looking at, and I'm like, this is awesome. This is a piece of history. And my dad's like, well, what can we sell it for? I'm like, no, you don't understand. I want it
that
for
doesn't
me.
sound like your dad to me. It's weird that you say
No,
that.
it is. So he picked up a couple of things. He picked up, I think he picked up an exclusive Gundam.
Okay, cool.
We went to the Tamagotchi booth, which I was excited about because my wife got into Tamagotchis over the past year, and they had exclusive Tamagotchis. So this was awesome. So I go in, and he's like, "I'll have 2," and I know he's already put them on eBay. Like, all right. Like,
Any
that's
luck
cool,
on
man.
them yet? Did you go check them out?
I was at his house today. They're on the shelf still, so or maybe they haven't sold it. But I was helping him. I was checking the prices. And I'm like, you could easily. This is an easy 2x or so on. And then he picked up a Michael Jordan trading card graded, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, what are you gonna do with it? He's like, well, I'm gonna give it to your sister, his daughter. And I'm like, oh yes.
Oh,
And
that's
he's
sweet.
like, yeah. He's like, yeah, maybe she can sell it for some money someday. I'm
He's
like,
like thinking
okay.
to put his kids through college now. He's got that kind of mindset right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're old. Like, he should be worrying about the grandkids. But we went to Artist Alley, and he's kind of like, I'm like, all right, look, Dad, if you want to make money here, you want to try to find an artist who's really good but hasn't made it big yet, right? So that you're kind of able to pick up something. Maybe it's like a limited print run, something like that. And I was kind of pointing out, and to me, as I was pointing out, I was just noticing something that I guess has always been true is like there's so many talented people out there, and you see like the super long lines for people who, of course, are also talented. But it's like, why is there a line 50 people long when this person over here, who's in my opinion just as good, has nobody at their table? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just the way it is, I suppose. But I got to meet Jacob Chabot, who does the Mighty Schoolboy Army, and he's done some SpongeBob comics. Got a sketch from him, and it was awesome. I had a great time, but it was just so funny. I was just there, kind of like breathing in. I took no pictures. I was just kind of experiencing it, and my dad was just like a hawk.
That's awesome. All right. Well, Goldine, you tell me, how was your experience?
So I went on Saturday and Sunday because I'm an essential worker, and
Thank you so much.
yes, so I had urgent matters as I got here. I got set up everything. So Saturday I got up and I arrived there before 8, and there was already a long line, and they forced me to go down this ramp on 34th Street. So the entrance is across the street from the High Line, and there was already a long line.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of security. So it's the usual stuff. And when I went straight into the showroom, or dealer's room, as some people call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh my goodness, it's already a big crowd, and it's 10 a.m. Think about it, 10.
Oh, it gets crowded like that. The minute the doors,
Like
the doors are open, but the minute they let you in, they let you in.
Yes. So I expected it. I'm a New Yorker. I lived here 33 years. Okay. So I'm used to the crowds. I just don't like the slow part. And I was on the first section, on the queue hall downstairs. I was on the very first one. I was like maybe more in the back, but first nonetheless. And I did it. There were so many choices. One person's, I forgot who said this. There are so many variety panels. We need a lot of variety panels because with this many people, we need to have, as much choice as we can, because we got to keep people coming, but it is overwhelming. I met Brendan Fraser from The Mummy and George of the Jungle, and I shook his hand, even though there was a partition. I don't know why there's still partitions there. And I met a lot. It's very hard to find friends, but I've met a lot of them. I met 3 voice actors, 2 from Jujutsu Kaisen and 1 from Demon Slayer. I got the picture. I got the posters. It's right over there across. So I'll share it a little bit, but it was an amazing experience on my part.
Oh, that's great, Daniel. Now we have a chance for you to settle in. You tell us about your experience with Comic Con in general, and then really what your experience was like this year.
Well, I had the 4-day pro pass, which was great because I could go into that top part of the Javits early in the morning and sit in the pro lounge for a little bit in the morning, which is great because they had power strips. I could just recharge my phone from the subway.
There you go.
I basically spent the 4 days in Artist Alley catching up with friends and unfortunately spending way too much more money than I really planned. But I also spent a lot of time in the show floors at various publishers' booths because I was trying to, pitch myself as a writer. So I gave out business cards and copies of my 2 main books of their first issues, American Dreams and Night Wrath. And I also had this moment. I was in the Jim Lee autograph line Friday afternoon. I've quasi known Jim because I've been in his Discord group for the last few years. And I said, you know what, I'm going to be ballsy. I'm going to give him the first 2 #1 issues I have of Night Wrath and of American Dreams. And I'm like, I get home, I'm like, I can't believe I did that. I would never do that. I would have never done that in my entire life. And I just did that. But so I got the courage to give a couple more copies out to a couple other people. No, but I also was great because I talked to the Mad Cave booth. I was like, I want to know what I did wrong with for example, the writer's search. And they said to me, it's not necessarily what you did wrong. It's that you, for example, I did a Nottingham-based short for Mad Cave's Talent Hunt. And that was like their biggest setting for most of their scripts the entire freaking time. So it was like 60 scripts or just Nottingham alone. So they recommended going with some of their lesser known titles for next year. But it was really cool because I also went to the Vault booth. I gave samples, and one of them editors actually sat down and looked through them and like, oh, this is actually really cool. So it's partly part fun, part business trying to make contacts. But I will say I did not. I'll go into things about why I dislike, but like the Artist Alley is great because a lot of people I know, a lot of friends. But could they please do something with that concrete floor? I'm sorry, I'm standing in line for too long on those things. And
it's not the showroom floor, right? As I know what you're talking about. So that's been something that's always been the case with Artist Alley. They've never carpeted Artist Alley. The showroom floor only gets carpeted.
It's dirty too.
Yeah, and it feels that way sometimes, right?
Yeah, I think I saw someone vomit, or at least they were putting like the powder on. Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. So maybe the concrete floor is better. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think I almost slipped in something foul on the Thursday on my way to lunch. So that's another story. Yeah. But like, I'm standing in line for people just to get like my 1 or 2 autographs a day, and my feet are killing me just from standing still on that concrete. Like I was in line yesterday twice for the Black Adam premiere here in New York, and the concrete there was not as bad. The concrete on the street was not as bad as the concrete floor of the Javits.
It's hard. I'll admit it. It's hard. But yeah, it's always been like that. They never done that with Artist Alley. They've moved Artist Alley plenty of times, right? And I think this year Artist Alley was at a different location than it was in previous years.
That's correct.
Right.
It still was. I honestly think it was smaller than previous years. Somebody was saying, "Oh, it looks great," but I was like, "Does it? Does it?" Right? I think it was.
Well, they could have extended it further back.
Exactly.
So, yes. So there and there was space for it. There was definitely space for it. There was definitely space for it. So one thing I'll say before we start talking about some of the things that we didn't like, I could tell you about my experience as a 4-day. Now, for me, like Daniel, like Josh before, I always go in as a professional. Every year I've gone as a professional, but this year I've also gone out with a table to promote Izzyverse. I purposely decided to do 2 days of tabling, and I gave away the other 2 days to someone else. Unfortunately, he had an issue and he couldn't really finish it. So they ended up keeping the table, the guys who were really handling the table. Um, while I was there those first 2 days, the first day on Thursday, I was like in the zone with sketches. So if anybody comes to my booth, you know that I always have like a wheel, and you spin the wheel and you get something, right? You'll either get you could get candy, you could get chips, you could get, you know, some swag. I've given out t-shirts, all sorts of stuff. Excuse me. And but on Thursday, it always happens every year. Every time I'm doing this, every year I get this spin the wheel, and it's always one that always lands on. And it's not rigged as much as I would like to say, but I got a lot of sketches in, and I was doing it was sketch after sketch after sketch. So I managed to sit down in my area in my booth, and I sat down, I believe, at 12 o'clock. I kid you not, I was sitting from 12 to 6 o'clock straight. Didn't get up, just
Wow.
continuously sketch, to the point that my friend Lewis, who was with us, he ended up getting me lunch. I told him, "Hey man, do you mind if you just grab this while I do the, you know," because I kept on doing sketches. So he went to grab me lunch and stuff like that. And then when I finally got up, my knees were kind of like wobbly from sitting down the whole time. They were wobbly from sitting down. I was like, "Oh, what just happened?" And then when I went to the restroom, and not, without being too graphic, I was like Austin Powers. Like I just came out of the time capsule, and I was just there, like just seeing guys come and go, and I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? Because I had a lot of liquid and I never got rid of the liquid. So that was my Thursday. My Friday was cool as well, because I did manage to do a panel with Sean Hill of Tokyo Bronx and a lot of other people. We did a panel at the River Pavilion. That was really fun. It's been a while since I've done a panel in New York Comic Con, but I have to say it was the best scenery for a panel, because we had the backlight of New York City behind us, and it just looked cool, right? That was great. Then I went back to the booth. I did some more sketches and things like that. But one thing I did do, and I didn't mention this on Thursday. Thursday was something like, if your father was with me, I would have told him exactly what to get, Josh. Because what I ended up doing is I picked up a lot of exclusives, like comic books. So I picked up a Catwoman exclusive. Well, it's a Batman 126 Catwoman cover. That was the exclusive. I picked up the facsimiles of Action Comics and Detective Comics, the Golden Age comics, the originals. I got those. I got the gold foil facsimiles of those. I picked up what they called the drip version of Miles Morales red cover. I also ordered. I didn't pick up. I ordered because it was supposed to show up, but it didn't show up, which I found out there was a problem. I ordered the Death of Superman red foil cover, which is a hot item. And then throughout the week, one story on Saturday happened. Saturday was really fun because Saturday I managed to go enjoy the show as it was. I went to Artist Alley, and I was done. Like, it's 4 o'clock. I'm done. I'm like, I'm ready to go home. I'm texting. I'm going to text my wife. I'm like, as I'm texting my wife, as I'm getting ready to text her to tell her I'm done, I'm going home now, an alert came in from the New York Comic Con app saying, come get your Frank Miller 300 exclusive 25th anniversary edition now and get it signed for free. So there I am. I'm actually in Artist Alley, ready to leave. I do one of these things. And I walked straight to get the comic book. So I ended up picking up the book, and the next day I decided to pick up the version edition, because I didn't even know there was a version edition. And for those of you that don't know, you don't have anything to be sorry about, Daniel. I'm looking at the message. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm just bringing it up to you, okay? So no worries there. I get the version edition as well, and I decided to get the version edition signed. So I got the version edition signed. That's the one that's sitting currently on eBay right now, waiting for someone to claim it. But I do have the other books that like I said, next time your father wants to come up and he wants to flip, come see me. I'll tell him exactly what he needs to flip. Because that's something that I've learned that's different about Comic Con that didn't exist then. When I used to start doing conventions early on back in the day, signatures were free. You could get sketches. Now you have to pay for signatures.
Yes.
I understand the reasoning behind it. I really do, and I understand why. But $5 a signature, seriously. And a
signature?
Yeah, a lot of them were charging $5 a signature. And to be completely honest, well, Frank Miller was charging 80 for one.
80,
so, but that's
80,
yeah,
80.
Yeah, 80 for a signature. And here's my problem. This is my problem with that. Again, I don't have a problem with an artist or a writer or a creative saying, hey, I'm going to charge you for my signature. I do have a problem when that signature doesn't have any value. And this is what I mean. What I mean about the signatures is that in order to prove that that signature is real, you will need a witness for that. So let's just say you want to grade your book. If you want to grade your book, you would need a witness present to see that signature happen. They're not going to go based off a photograph. They're not going to even base it off a video. They're going to base it off the fact that they're there, and then you give them the book on the spot saying, hey, by the way, this is the signature, and then they go off to CGC land, and then they get, as we call, slabbed. Those signatures that I've paid $5 for, which I did pay for some, they're not going to do anything for me unless I decide to sell it on eBay and say, this is a signature. You have to just trust me that it's the signature of the creative. And you may not. I had to, so for the Frank Miller signature, I had to buy, in addition to the, getting the comic book, I had to pay for a certificate of authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
How do you like that one? Here's a card proving that this signature is real.
So
if in fact that it's just the way it is. It's just the way business, the internet has caused that. eBay has caused that. Whatnot has caused that. Where, and sketches too. Sketches, there was a time that they would just sketch your book. Now, you see a lot of these guys charging $100, $200 for sketches that would for some of them will take 5 minutes to draw. I got sketches that are drawn by artists that are literally just done. You know what I mean? There's no time or effort put into it. But again, that is at the discretion of the creatives, which I'm not going to knock as a creative myself. I do when people ask me for sketches, I will charge people for sketches because again, I need to make my money back in some way. But I don't go crazy in the charge. I usually charge like $25 for a headshot. And trust me, when you get one of my drawings, I put some love in it. I don't just draw it. You know what I mean?
I can attest to that. I see it.
Yeah. So that's the case with that. That's some of the things that I miss from previous Comic Cons, but that's just the way the world we live in. So it's not New York fault. It's just the way it is. All right. It is now time to talk about some of the things we weren't too crazy about. So,
boy.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off with Jean Paul because Jean Paul does have a story. Jean Paul, talk to me a little bit about what happened to you, unfortunately.
Yeah, so the Comic-Con was good. Everything was going great. This is day 4, Sunday. Half hour left in the con. I decided, let me go upstairs to the community area, the Cosplay Central area, and just sit down, kind of gather myself from everything that happened throughout the weekend. I put down my bags. I go on my phone for about 10-15 minutes. I get up, and my backpack is gone. Inside my backpack, I had some nice books that I bought there that I got autographed. Some other comics that I've actually brought with me, figuring maybe I'll get them signed, maybe I won't, that I've collected throughout the last 30-40 years, and those are gone as well. So additionally with that, my wallet was in there, my car keys too. I had to lock all my finances and everything. I tried to check in with Lost and Found. As of today, nothing has come up yet. But from what I'm finding out, I am not the only victim at the Comic-Con.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
There's a whole lot of people out there that have gotten their stuff taken or swiped as well. Not only attendees, from what I've heard, but also even artists.
Oh no, Artist Alley got there was
Yeah.
definitely some stuff that happened in Artist Alley as well. Daniel, did you experience anything that was negative from the show?
Well, the aforementioned slipping in something unmentionable, nearly, and I would say it's the crowds. Like last year, I felt a little more relaxed because mask mandate, vaccine mandate, and you had room to really move. And this year brought back all the crowd to the point you can't even move, to the point where I think it's a fire safety hazard. And there's that report of that cosplayer who unfortunately passed away literally at the convention.
Yeah, I heard about that.
20 minutes for the EMTs to get to him.
Wow. That's inexcusable.
Yeah. So, and also just the fact that there's a mask mandate, but no one's adhering to it. Like,
yeah, there were some security guards that were trying to give people masks, but they themselves weren't wearing them, so it kind of defeated the purpose, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
It's like if I'm giving you a mask to wear, shouldn't I be wearing that mask?
Yes.
And
You know
like,
what I mean? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up.
it's like it's a miracle that it hasn't turned to a super spreader yet. It's a miracle.
It is.
Literally, it's a miracle because the only person I think who got COVID the entire time was Joe Quesada.
Well, it's the only person that was announced with it. That doesn't mean there was others. But Joe Quesada was someone that he came to the show, and he eventually had COVID at the end of the show, and he missed 2 of the days as a result. I think it was 2 of the days.
Jim Lee panel when he was announced, so I was like towards the back, so I was like exposed.
You were all part of the exposure group.
I got my 4 doses, so I'm good. No symptoms.
Yeah, same here. And I just recently, just a couple of weeks ago, I was sick. So, I feel comfortable around it. I understand how some people don't. But yeah, like with Joe Quesada, when the word got out that he was, he was tested positive, I was like, he just made a huge announcement. In case you guys didn't know, Joe Quesada is back with DC, and that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So I don't know in what capacity he's back. So Daniel, were you you said you were at the panel?
He's kind of freelance at the moment.
Yeah.
It's not just DC, he's doing other independent things, but he's doing a couple of covers, but he's hinting at other stuff might be in the works. Right now he's just doing covers for Batman.
So he's pretty much being a creative.
Yes.
He's back to being a creative like he once was.
Right.
And I always loved his art style. Like before he was on Daredevil, where it really blew him up with the Marvel Knights series. I did enjoy his stuff with X Factor and but his stuff with Batman, Azrael. So, I saw a few months ago they released an Azrael Joe Quesada cover, and I was like, what are you trying to tell me? So it's nice to see that he's actually back with DC in some way too.
Well, Marvel is putting out new Jim Lee covers. I use the word "new" in quotes.
Yeah, you're right.
From they had in archives, but
oh no, it's all archive. Yeah, absolutely. You could tell you could just tell when you see the art. It's old art, right? Because guys like Jim Lee and Joe Quesada, though they maintain their signature look, their styles have changed. Like Jim Lee from X-Men Jim Lee looks completely different than Batman's Jim Lee. Like they're night and day in comparison. And the same could be said about Joe Quesada, his style. But you still see the signature traits that they will always have because that's just how artists are. Myself included. Like my wife tells me all the time, it's like, I know when it's your drawing. It's like, really? It's like, yeah. And I understand that.
And going back briefly to theft, like there's Artist Alley, even the Artist Alley people got robbed, and like there's those infamous reports from like 2018, 2019, where Kevin Eastman literally had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle page stolen right from under his nose.
Wow.
And this is why I never leave my stuff out of my sight, ever. ever.
Yeah.
Like, I'll literally wait to go home to use the bathroom. Like, I do not trust the Japanese bathrooms. First of all, that's number one. Number two, I want to make sure all my stuff's in my sight at all times.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Josh, did you experience anything negative in the show while you were there? I know you're.
I did not, but um I remembered what it's like, and one of the things I told my dad, as I'm telling him, but I'm reminding myself, there's a lot of shady people in this space, unfortunately.
Mhm.
There's people who will try to take advantage of you. They'll try to sell you something that it's not worth what they say it's worth. Definitely got to watch your stuff. So we definitely always keep your bag on you, but you also kind of see it in the vendors. I remember my dad's looking through something, and one of the employees is just standing behind all of us looking through the merchandise because they have to, because
Yeah.
people will just take something and walk away with it. And it's one of those things that's just so unfortunate. Like you mentioned at the top, Comic Con is this space where we're all gathering together, we're celebrating, we all have these things in common, and that there's always people who try to take advantage. So it's I don't think it's something that'll ever go away. You just kind of gotta protect yourself and look out for other people where you can.
Yeah, and regardless of what show you are, it could be New York, it could be San Diego, it could be Boston. I know New Jersey. There was some theft in the New Jersey show, the Garden State show as
Yes,
well.
yes. Garden State
There
Comic
was
Fest.
yeah, which I missed it this year because I was doing some other things. I had to be a parent and enjoy my daughter's birthday outside of being in the Comic Con. But hey Rebecca, how you doing? Rebecca, she just says JP, so I'm not sure what JP means. Maybe she's referring to she's referring to you. It
Yeah,
it didn't dawn on me. So there you go. Welcome Rebecca to the show. So yeah, so I'm thankful that I never experienced that personally, but I know people like Jean Paul that have experienced that, who worked hard in getting something, and it just becomes problematic because it's like you want to experience something, and then next thing I feel robbed when I have to pay $10 for a hot dog. But that's just that's the show, and that's how it works, right? That's the monopoly that you have while you're there when it comes to food. So one of the things that I would say I was not a big fan of this year was the lack of art supplies. Now, to someone normal, it's not that big of a deal. But when you think of it as an artist in a convention that you are doing sketches for a 4-day period, you might need some new art supplies. And there was one booth all the way in the end of Nowheresville. Because I always call that area Nowheresville, because that's the area that most people don't reach out. That's where all the ATMs are lined up. Um, it's literally
The
booth
void.
1000. The 1000. It's actually the 1000 booth,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That aisle. It's the beginning of the show. Most people don't really travel towards that area for some reason. They always go to because again, when you come into the show, you always come in either the middle or kind of like off centered, but you never go into that end. There was literally one booth for art supplies, which was the Marvi Uchiha booth. And I purposely made sure I went there a few times to give them love. They were very thankful for me, and they gave me a nice gift, so I'd like to give them a shout out. And I was very happy for the gift that they gave me, and I'll tell you guys later what it was. But it was something that really stood the core. It's like, first of all, Artist Alley doesn't have an art section for art supplies for artists that are there, right? These guys,
Bigger downstairs.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
So
I think
Artist Alley,
I think
Artist
I
Alley
saw
is
people,
missing.
artists actually were selling their own supplies there.
Yeah, so it's like Artist Alley was missing art supply to the point that Ryan Stegman, which we'll mention again later, Ryan Stegman he didn't have a sketch pad, so I actually just gave him my sketch pad. I was like, here, take my sketch pad, right? And I gave him my sketch pad. So Ryan Stegman, you owe me a sketch pad. I'll get you later. But just the fact that you don't have art supplies for a show full of artists makes no sense to me. Another thing that I noticed that I wasn't a big fan of was the fact there was a lack of dealers. And what I mean by dealers, there was definitely plenty of vendors. So you had like KRS Comics, you had Comic Mint. Those are vendors, those are retailers. My good friends at Comic Exposure, they were there. That's all cool. That's great, and they're the ones that sell you the exclusives. So that's fantastic. But where were the comic book dealers, the shops, in other words, that would go in and they will bring in their collection of books to sell? Sometimes you get your dollar bin comics, sometimes you get your rarities. There weren't that many. And that was something that I was like, I was lacking of, because as a Comic Con, sometimes I would go to Comic Con just to get deals on comics. And I didn't have that. So
Well,
that's something
Izzy,
that was missing. Yeah.
this is something that's been going on as long as I've been going. It's way back
Yeah.
when. Every
This is
year,
getting
Comic Con is less and less about the comics,
I agree.
Yes.
for better or for worse. And it's awesome. Like, we got the movies, we got the tabletop games, but
Mhm.
that's I think it's unfortunate. It's getting a little bit away from the roots.
Yeah, and
That's
that's
my
and
phenomenon.
again, and that's where these smaller shows come into play, right? So the smaller shows kind of fulfill that void, but it's still, if you call yourself Comic Con, then you should have comics. And they exist there. But while Golding, you could tell me a little bit more. It felt very much like an anime con, and that's something that's been brewing
Yes.
for a while now.
It
This
is
is nothing
my
new.
fault.
This is yeah. You're the culprit. You're the one guy, right?
I'm the nerd, the weeaboo.
Now, so my question is, really, is it really Comic Con's fault? Because I don't think so. I
I
think,
think it's greed.
well, there's definitely greed.
Yes.
But what I think is that this generation has been moving more towards the anime manga side of things, right?
Yes.
Where and I want to say mainstream comics, the Marvels and DCs of this world, have not been catering to their fan base the way they probably should, the way they used to, the way they did in the 80s, in the 70s, in even the 90s, and even the early 2000s. Something happened, dare I say, MCU happened, that changed things. And now it's more about cosplay. It's more of so I see tables with cosplayers getting more love than artists that drew what the cosplay is dressed as.
Oh no. I don't know if
It-
I should fault myself for that one.
but you shouldn't. You really shouldn't. As a person that cosplays, you should never fault yourself for that. But it's just the way things have been, that cosplayers, certain celebrity cosplayers, I'll call them, are getting more recognition than the guy who drew the character you're dressed up as.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why like I believe in my case, I think it's something they want to see like live. Or that's just my opinion. It's just nowadays with the current generation, it's all about the experience. But I'll be honest with you. I believe the artists, okay, who draw should just get just as much recognition.
Yeah.
And to be honest, since we're all nerds and geeks, we should support one another and actually promote one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with cosplaying. You were saying, Daniel?
No.
It's also down somewhat to exposure levels, because compared to when I was a kid, where you had like all the old Hanna-Barbera superhero cartoons, like in syndication, you had DCAU. It's not as much in comparison. It's also the concept of comics are kind of pricing out kids. And I know DC's made inroads with young adult and kid graphic novels that they have like at Barnes and Noble and Amazon. But in comparison, there's more anime cartoons on like WB Cartoon Network, so on
I
and so
agree.
forth, than there are Western superhero cartoons. There's more manga available in stores, in your regular bookstore, than there are age-appropriate kid graphic novels from DC and Marvel. Though DC, as I said, has been making more inroads on that to much acclaim and success, somewhat.
Hey guys, before you continue, Daniel, I'm just gonna let you know Josh had to step out, so we're gonna continue. So thanks, Josh, for everything. We'll talk again soon. Go ahead, Daniel. Continue.
So it comes down basically to their level of exposure. I mean, I've gone on my way to kind of have some of my younger cousins read some comics, whatnot. But again, their interests are more in to anime. Like they were more excited. I gave them some of my old Pokemon cards. Than I gave them comics.
Oh, I just want to point out that all the badges of the portraits of the badges are all anime. Just
it's better than Walking Dead because trust me, we've had Walking Dead over and over and over. I'm fine with that.
A long 8-year run.
Right? How many Walking Dead badges do I have collected? I have all my badges still collected, so I'm okay with that. But that's usually whatever the industry pays for. So whoever gets to it first. I wish we would see more Marvel badges, more DC badges, more of those things. But Crunchyroll got to the punch. So kudos for them for that. And I think
it also makes the best bid.
Say that again.
It's whoever makes the biggest bid.
Exactly. So Crunchyroll actually did have the biggest booth. If you notice, they didn't take up one spot; they took off multiple spots. In the show, and they had the big Spy Family X. Well, I always say Spy X Family, but it's really Spy Family.
Spy Family.
They did have the Spy Family set up. They had the Chainsaw Man set up. They had not exactly My Hero Academia, but they had a little bit of that. Of course, you had One Piece. You had Demon Slayer. I didn't see a lot of. Well, they did have the Demon Slayer section.
There was a place with the Demon Slayer ones, and then.
But it was mostly the figurines set up as a hut in some way. So Wagodin, tell me a little bit about some of the stuff that occurred because I'm gonna put up an article that came out just the other day. It was posted on the 11th, so it's been a few days since it came out, and let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the incidents that occurred in New York Comic Con. So this is the section that we're going to talk a little bit about the ugly that happened. We talked a little bit about the bad, and Jean-Paul is part of that. Unfortunately, he's part of that group that's in the ugly stance. But as I present the screen, talked a little bit about what was some of the things that occurred. You did mention a few of it already.
Yes,
so
I posted it. Yeah, I posted it on Instagram. It started out where I was watching Twitch on my friend. My friend was doing Metal Gear Solid, I believe, and she said, "Oh, someone died at New York Comic Con." I never thought this would happen, so I went to an article and I found 2 articles, which I sent earlier in your DMs prior to this. So the first one was from I think Cosmic Book News, which take it with a grain of salt. And it showed not 1 but 2 deaths. I'm still trying to verify the second death. The first death we talked about, and it was Mitch. I keep forgetting the names now, but I posted it on Instagram. He was only 52 years old, and he was on the elevator. He got a seizure and a heart attack.
I heard it was an escalator, I think, right?
You will see it somewhere there in the article. Oh, Mitchell Drucker. So he was there. He died on Saturday. Yeah, he died on Saturday. It was October 8th. Then there was a second person, which I'm trying to look for. A second death. It was outside. It was a slip and fall. But that's according to another article. So they talked about the thefts, and of course there's the long lines as well. And then there was also, now I did not see this, but there was there were 2 fights on the line. So
yeah, I could talk about those.
My friend from last night told me that there was a fight over Funko Pops.
Yes, there was a fight.
That's pretty common.
That's ridiculous. That's absurd. I get it. Funko Pops cost. They're so valuable. They're Funko Pops. I get it. And then there was another line. So Peach Momoko
this was like heartbreaking.
Yes, amazing artist, and there was a line issue, and something happened, and she had Oh yeah. By the way, there was one video I saw on YouTube. I think you gave this to me earlier, Izzy, and they were giving maximum 10 copies, 10 autographed copies per person, which I find that really absurd. I can understand 1, 2, or 3. Give it to your friend. Maybe you can flip some of them, but 10 that's really that's crazy.
That's more than enough.
Don't do 10, please don't. Maybe 3, but it's ridiculous. And what else?
And the retailers are just behaving horribly in that. Like, you have a way to say no, fans get first priority, and the exhibitors and retailers are still skipping to the front of the line.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So one of the things I will tell you, and this has been something that's been happening a while. Again, when you get early access, you also get early access to exclusives, right? So I know some booths. I'm not going to name all the booths because I don't want to badmouth anybody, but I do know there were certain booths that made the decision of not selling until start time, where you had to. They wouldn't even allow you to make a line. So I got to give them credit for that. They wouldn't allow you to make a line. So you had to kind of like finagle your way around until it was line time. You know what I mean?
Line time.
Yeah, because that's what you ended up doing. You ended up walking around in circles until you got to that point, right? So they were.
I had to do that for one of the booths there. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So you had to figure out you were there, but you couldn't form a line, but you were there. Right. Exactly. And that's fine. That's usually what Thursday is for. So if you ever decide to go to a show on Thursday, it's because you're interested in getting an exclusive. And that's part of the experience, to get an exclusive. But if you're interested in getting an exclusive, then you have to understand that with that you have to be on time, or you have to be before time to do that. So there's nothing against the dealers for doing that kind of stuff. That's their business.
But then I see these people like really run breakneck, into the control floor. I'm like, you're gonna trip and fall and hurt yourself, and we're gonna point and laugh.
Yeah. So there is that. The one of the problems I occurred myself personally was the fact that there was an issue in shipping of one of the books, and it was one of the hot exclusive comics. It was the Death of Superman, the red foil edition, and they were selling it for the shows. It was a Comic-Con exclusive. It actually made the top 10 list of the exclusive books, right? And the book wasn't available. The book did not, as they say, the book was not shipped in time. So, it was like, oh, it's Thursday. You can make your order in. We'll take your order in. And, once it comes in, we'll contact you. Well, Thursday happened. Friday happened. Saturday happened. Well, by Sunday, who's going to ship on Sunday, right? It's not like Amazon Prime. So there you have it. We were at a show where there was a Death of Superman red foil comic that was unavailable, that you had to pay for. And the worst part about it is we're in celebration of the 30th anniversary of the Death of Superman. Dan Jurgens was present. And Dan Jurgens, I did talk to him because he I interviewed him before in a previous show, and he himself expressed the fact that you made a lot of people angry, and you also made DC angry, because this is a book that should have been available. There's no excuse for your book not to be available. You can't just say the book's going to be here on Friday and not know it's going to be there. So there was problems in that. Another issue that happened, and this is the one I'm showing right now, as I mentioned, Ryan Stegman. Ryan Stegman put out a tweet that really started something. And let me go ahead. I'm just going to read what the tweet says. It says, saw a man shooting up in the middle of the sidewalk this afternoon and a bunch of rats last night. New York really lived up to my expectations of what I thought it was as a child. That's unexcusable. I'm sorry, that's unexcusable. The fact that you had this occurring in an industrial spot. It's really an industrial. No one lives there, right?
I mean, there are apartments. It's expensive. There's Hudson Yards.
So you have Hudson Yards, which is just just right outside.
That's all you have there. Everything else is just commercial.
At this spot right here, it's an industrial area. there should have been plenty of police guards. I didn't see as many police guards before as I've done before
Nope.
in previous years.
Neither do
I
Wasn't as
saw
much.
some.
I saw some, but not to the same extent of what I've seen before.
Nope.
I know I saw one guy carting off, a couple of them carting off city and state troopers. A guy was saying those quote unquote mixed CDs that are outside the Java.
Yeah, I saw those guys. The mixed CDs. Here's my CD. Can you give me a donation? And then I
Quote,
says,
unquote.
yeah, I'm not going to give you a donation. And say, okay, can I get my CD back? I'm like, I don't want to listen to your music anyway.
Music on that disc.
Yeah. There was, as we mentioned, there was a lot of thefts. There's yours, John Paul, right there. The backpack issue on Sunday is there. But we have someone lost their camera, their Canon camera that was stolen. Another one obviously lost art supplies. Somebody lost $200 of stickers, wobble stickers, or woobil stickers. I'm trying to read it. Pins were stolen. It's just Invader Zim. Someone stole Invader Zim. I'm laughing, but it's not right. People were pickpocketed. There were people that were being pickpocketed. This is the kind of stuff that happened in the 90s. It's no excuse to have this kind of stuff to happen now. So I don't know what's going on.
My theory is that this pandemic has just destroyed empathy in so many people.
Mhm.
And it's just, lately, it's just the most toxic traits have been boiling to the surface. And then how the certain politicians, like you know who, have been fostering that kind of mindset.
Yeah. So we talked about the cosplayer. He was actually a cosplayer. And then the report of the slip and fall. There's only a report of a slip and fall. The Peach Momoko incident was in regards to people arguing over a line issue, and there was no security present. But worst of all, it caused Peach Momoka. She first of all, Peach Momoka, she's Japanese, and she's from Japan. She's not like Japanese born and raised here. So her culture, culturally, it's very different for her, and it caused her anxiety. For the story I heard, and again, this is just the story I heard, so I can't confirm nor deny that it happened, was that it caused her anxiety, and she went underneath her table. Wow. And it actually, there is signs now that she may not come again, and she may not even do another show. So now there's a possibility that could happen.
Like I heard,
that's a shame.
I just brought to tears because of these. Again, these are mainly retailers just being utter jerks to everyone else.
Yeah.
And as she even said, I want the fans to take first priority, and big exhibitors were like doing all they can to kind of bend the rules.
Well, the other thing is it's hard to tell who's a fan and who is not. It's very difficult. It's not like you have a sign saying, "Hey, I am a true fan." Like, for example, I have an exhibitor's badge, right? But I'm not a retailer. I have an exhibitor's badge because I'm at a table that is a small press table. So I'm an artist who just happens to be a comic book guy, because again, most artists, most people, most creatives in the business started out as being fans, and that's what we are. There are those that are in the business for exactly that, the business. They're in the business for buying and selling. Buying and selling. Like Josh's father came in. What can he flip? And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. That is perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong in doing that, and that's part of your strategy. But you have to have a strategy. And when you don't get what you want, you have to end saying, that's okay. I didn't get what I want. And move on to the next one. The problem is that there's people that are striving to get this, and they will hurt others to do it, and that's just wrong.
That is wrong.
It is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, these are the things that happened in Comic-Con this year. Again, I don't want to leave on a sour note, because I think Comic-Con did have some really good highs, even though it had some lows too. But I think some of the highs was the fact that, as a creator myself, I did manage to meet a lot of people, got to talk to a lot of people. I'll go, Dean. We spent some time. Jean Paul, we got to spend some time. I did manage to go to a networking event on Friday that was fantastic. Daniel, were you there, Daniel, for the networking event? I'm not sure. The Creator Con, the Creator After Con.
At the Twins?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like a table in the back with Justin Birch.
Oh, okay. We didn't get a chance to really talk then, because I was mingling all over the place.
Like you could barely hear your thoughts think in that bar. It's like I was like being in the middle of a sentence. I'd be like, what was I saying? Because it was so loud, my brain went whoop.
Well, it got to the point that the next day, my throat was a little sore from talking so loud, and I'm good at projecting my voice.
I mean,
But
you heard
even then-
Jeff literally stand up on the by the windowsill, and
Yeah, I remember that.
having to belt essentially across, literally belt his voice across the floor so everyone can listen to Steve's talk.
Yeah,
I guess the
exactly.
recall up from that.
Yeah, so that was cool. I didn't get a chance to go to any panels. Unfortunately for me, I wanted to go. There were some panels I really wanted to go to, but because of this whole reservation thing, I didn't get to go to it. And then I found out that the reservation thing really didn't do
It's
much.
a disaster.
It
That's a
really
disaster.
didn't do much.
Yeah,
It's a
I'll
big
be honest.
disaster.
I'll be honest. I had reservations for a couple, and even the ones that I had reservations, like you could really honestly just walk in. They were not checking any papers or credentials or anything.
Exactly.
You could just walk right in as if you were, reserved or VIP, and just grab whatever seat you wanted. So,
yeah. Well, first of all, they botched that.
which I didn't
Yeah.
mind.
Well,
But,
yeah, and the funny thing, if I knew that, I would have gone to some of these panels. I didn't go to a single panel with the exception of the panel that I was in.
Mhm.
I didn't get to go to any panel. And there was plenty of panels I wanted to go to. I wanted to go to the Back to the Future panel. I wanted to go to the Chainsaw Man panel. I wanted to go to the DC panel, the Superman panel. Those were panels I wanted to go to, and I never got to go to because of that reservation thought. Because I was like, well, I don't got a reservation and I can't go, right? Because unfortunately for me, as an exhibitor with an exhibitor's pass, the exhibitor's pass isn't necessarily tied to my name. So therefore, I couldn't go to the website and sign in and get registered because it's not technically my badge. I am there as a guest with somebody. So I lose out on that opportunity. But when I did try to do it for the badges that I did purchase for my family members, they were all gone by the time I went to it. And it was almost like noon, and it was like on 10 o'clock and they're all gone. And it was like, well, this sucks. So this is the first Comic-Con I didn't go to a panel.
Wow. I thought I was bad. I only went to like 3 of them. I went to one that's a bingo. I went to one that was on cosplayers.
How was that one?
There was a late at night. There was a bingo one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Saturday night. Then I went to one earlier in the day. It was a Latinx cosplayer, something like that.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Mom
I
the
bet that one
cosplayer
is
was there. So, and then there was another panel that had 3 of my voice actors who I took pictures with and got their signatures. They had their own panel together. It was like a variety show. So I barely went because all of it was going to the showroom / dealer's room and artist alley and trying to cover as much square footage as possible to collect information. And I was also collecting information when I was speaking with you and other people. People were telling me about all of this, and I'm trying to compile all the information.
It's like a reporter. He is Clark Kent.
That's
It doesn't help that the panels, even though they're not in the nice, fancy new Drivers North, it's a long way to get there.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a step and a half. It's like because that's where Artist Alley used to be back when they had that kind of that shed.
Mhm.
I remember.
Artist Alley,
Yeah, I remember.
and it's
So-
like
Just with added floors and longer escalators.
yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
This is why I know they were saying for years we need to replace the Javits, but we have nowhere to put it, unfortunately.
Well, the thing is, there is a place to put Artist Alley. The place to put Artist Alley is when you get to the show. There's extensions to the Javits Center, and you put the Artist Alley in a spot that makes sense. The problem is they always put Artist Alley in a corner somewhere, hunker in a corner. They leave it open for an extra hour. I don't know why, right? Because the artists are tired. They don't want to stay there an extra hour. They really don't. It's not to say that they're making more money, because they really aren't, because some of them have to work there. And what I mean by work there, they might have a deadline that they have to do. So they're working their work while they're there. At the same time, they're mingling, they're talking to people. There's a little bit of networking going on. But when it comes to first all, the big names are working. The smaller names that had to pay for their booth, those are the ones that are struggling because they're like, yeah, I'm tired. And to be there an extra hour is tiresome, you
And
know?
I was figuring more where to put the entire new convention center, but otherwise, yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, we need to expand Javits more.
Because what used to be where the original big convention center was the Coliseum. That's where the now One Columbus Circle, the former Time Warner building, is.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, that's a long time too. That was a long time ago.
That was before I was born, or shortly
I
after
can
I
tell
was
you.
born.
But I've done so many shows, man. I can't even tell. We used to have hotels. That used to be our Comic Con's hotels. We still have it like that. Big Apple Comic Con is like that, which I'm looking forward to this year because I did one earlier this year. So there's another one coming up in December that I do plan on attending.
I've never tabled at Big Apple, but I always thought the table prices was just a little out of my price range. Like when New York Comic Con tables, it feels more like a bargain.
Oh, if that says a lot though. But New York, the only thing with Big Apple, it's not big.
Yeah.
Nope.
As much as they call it Big Apple,
No,
it's not big and it's very limited in space.
Exactly.
And so it's a lot of people are crammed in. But it still is a New York show, and you know, Mike Carbo, man, he's been doing it for longer than I can remember. So it is a good place to go. They have one place for the panels. I will say the Long Island shows are really good. Eternal Con, Cradle Con, those are good shows. Baltimore's happening in 2 weeks. I'll be there. I'm excited for that one. Fan Expo used to be Wizard World. Those are good shows.
A lot of fan expos all over North America.
Yeah, because that's Wizard World. So Wizard World, remember, if you remember Wizard World, Wizard World would have a show in different cities. So that's what
Fan Expo bought them out.
I've only done one Wizard World. That was in Philadelphia. It was not. Well, I only had the one issue at the time. But
I used to love doing the Philly shows. Love them. I can't wait to do them again.
Philly was a great time.
Talking about big space. They give you space in Philly.
Which venue in Philly?
The Philadelphia Convention Center.
Yeah, the one right by Arch Street.
Yeah, Arch Street, Reading. Across the street is Reading.
Market.
The Reading Food Market. Ooh, you got to get some food there.
That is not for anything. I'd rather have that market than the food trucks, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Yes,
you get more variety and better tasting food at that market,
and better pricing.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean, I haven't been down there in a while, so I don't know if the prices have inflated. But not only that, you have Chinatown right around the corner as well, so you have a variety of places to go.
Yeah, I was there not that long ago. Not for a con, but I was in Philly there. I go to Philly. I go to Philly quite frequently. Yeah, I went there, man. Whew, I love the food. So good.
I might go down there for PAX Unplugged, but I haven't decided yet.
Oh, cool. Yep. So with that said, one good thing that you got from the Comic Con, I'm going to start with Wild Goldine.
Yes.
And then tell everybody where we can find you, bro. After that.
One good thing is this.
Oh, wonder who gave you that.
Yes, that's me. Someone took a picture of me as Gojo. I was Gojo when I got this.
Yeah. So Wild Goldine was a winner of one of the Izzy Fest days for the anime day. He did win one of them. So congratulations, Wild Goldine. All right. Jean-Paul, you were a winner too, right?
I got a book. I just don't remember.
It was an Incredible Hulk book. I remember.
Yeah, but there was so much stuff that I got at the Comic-Con. I still have to organize. Like even right here, right there. That's my stack of all the free books I got.
Oh, you don't even see my stack that's over there. All that stuff. So, luckily for me, I got a green screen to cover all this.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't count what got taken out, but yeah, overall, yeah. I mean the good thing about this year was I got to see a lot. You know, in the short time spent that I was there. I mean, I won't say sure. I did go all 4 days, but I got to get as many exclusives as I got. I got to meet a lot of the artists that I wanted to see. I got to attend a couple of panels I did want to attend. Back to the Future was one of them. You know, just like we mentioned, like they really didn't check anything. Like I literally had a silver pass and was able to get maybe third row from the stage once I got in.
Yeah.
So
I would have been sitting there with you too because I wanted to go to Back to the Future so bad.
no, it was a great panel. It was nice. It was heartwarming, very nostalgic. It was nice. But yeah, it was just being able to be with everybody and just be able to talk and make new friends. I got to do the Black Adam thing yesterday, the premiere.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, both of you guys. No spoilers,
So-
even though I know. I
Yeah,
already know the
yeah.
ending.
Yeah,
I know what happens in the end.
The internet broke the that.
Actually,
I won't
weeks
say
ago.
it.
The
Yeah, I won't
internet
say
didn't
it.
break it. The Rock broke it.
Oh yeah, I mean he did hit a lot.
The Rock
about it.
broke it, but we're not
Yeah.
going there. We'll do the spoiler review next week when I get to see the
We
movie.
blamed that guy.
Yeah, I thought it was a
But-
mishap that they weren't in Comic Con. That was a missed
DC you're
opportunity.
talking about? I think they from what I heard, because I got this while I was on the floor. I was in line at a booth and the folks were just passing them out. But prior to that, there was a panel, I think, with Jim Lee. And that's where it started. But since they
Yeah,
had just
I was at
an
the
abundance,
Thursday panel.
yeah, since they had an abundance of these, they were like, let's just give it away
Really?
to everyone on the showroom.
Yeah,
So they.
it
Yeah,
was
go ahead,
for-
Daniel.
It was for DC Infinite subscribers, which I'm one, and
Same
for those
here.
who got the Bad Cow NFTs. And let me say this: as a DC Infinite subscriber, I was in the minority of the people in there.
I still have my subscription.
Same here. Actually, it's updated to the Ultra one.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got the tickets on Thursday night, but it was in this location. They were told that was not far from the Javits, and it was a screening room, but we did not fill up the entire screening room. So I guess there were plenty left over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's 4 things I'll say I really liked getting from New York Comic Con. 3 of them are commission. 3 of them are art. One is a piece by Bill Walko of the main character Liberty from My Comic American Dreams. That's the guy in my icon down there. Then I got 2 things from V. Ken Marion. One, it was from his portfolio, is a Batman bust. And I have this thing with him every year. He does a Final Fantasy VII related sketch in my sketchbook. So this year we went with Aerith. It looks great. But the 4th thing is the Jim Lee 60 for 60 art book of his sketches he did for COVID charity money,
Awesome.
which I thought was really cool. And like I ordered it like a while back, and I got a message from I guess one of his admins saying instead of sending it via FedEx, do you just want to pick it up at Comic-Con? I'm like, there's a bunch of money, yeah.
Awesome. That is great. I'm happy that we all walk out with some good experience from Comic-Con, because again, it's happening again in a year from now. Every year, man, we say the same thing. I say the same thing every year. It's like, I don't know. And then Comic-Con comes and there I am like a dummy again. Here I am. It's like it is like that guy that Ryan Sedman was talking about. Sometimes you need to get that hit. You know what I'm saying?
It's literally a year from now, isn't it? It's like starts a year.
It's a year from now.
12th to 15th. It's now in it's middle of October, which I don't understand why.
No, it always happens the weekend of Indigenous Day. It's always that weekend. So whenever you have Indigenous, which thank goodness it is, because I need that break that Monday. I really do. Every year.
I don't get that break.
I need that day break. I need that day to not to just decompose. I say decompose. I'm just decomposing about
Decompress.
No, it's decomposing. That's why I'm using the word right. But I do need that day for that.
Decompose. I have a science brain. I'm sorry.
I know you have a science brain, but that's what I'm saying. I'm just letting it all go. So I need that to refresh myself for the following year. Every year is the same thing for me. It's like I'm done. By Friday, I'm done already because I'm tired. My knees hurt. My back hurts. Everything hurts. It doesn't work.
They need to fix that floor. That's what they need to do.
They need to fix the floor, and even the carpeted floor gets tiresome too.
Yeah,
so,
it does. Mm-hmm.
But guys, it's been great. I'm gonna put you guys in the lobby for a second while I do my plugs, and then we're gonna do our post talk afterwards. So thank you, Wild Goldine. Thank
Oh,
you,
but-
Jean Paul. Thank you, Daniel. It's been great having you guys. Let me go ahead and put you guys in the lobby
One
for a
shout out.
second.
I have a mod named Katniss there. I want to say hi on Twitch.
Hey, awesome. So let me put you there now. Okay, don't go, guys. So there you have it, guys. That was our New York Comic Con conversation. The good, the bad, and the ugly. If you like what you saw, please put a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up on YouTube. That's going to help out a lot. You can also support the channel by just going ahead and putting that thank you. You can leave a donation of any kind for the channel. It really will help me out because I'm going to be able to do more of these. Also, I'll be able to go out to shows. So as mentioned before, there are some plugs I want to do in before I end this show, starting with Comic Exposure and BCW. BCW is where you could get your comic supply. I give you 10% off with promo code Izzyverse. And if you go to comicexposure.com, you get 15% off with your purchase if you put the promo code Izzyverse. Both teams are good. The guys at Comic Exposure are fantastic. If you need to get comics and you can't go to a comic book show, go there. Go to Comic Exposure. And if you need supplies for your comics, go to BCW and you get there. Another thing I want to express to everybody is that I am on Whatnot. I do have a Whatnot show that's coming up pretty soon. I haven't made an announcement exactly what day it's going to be, but the Whatnot show is coming up, and I don't give you $10 credit. I give you $15 credit if you go to whatnot.com, invite Izzyverse. That's all you got to do, and you'll be able to get $15 for your first purchase, absolutely free. If you haven't had the chance already, go check out the She-Hulk Werewolf by Night spoiler review. We did it earlier today. It's already available for you to watch, and if you want to see it, go see it there. In the meantime, I just want to say thank you to all of you that watched the show. I want to thank everyone personally for being a part, to all my guests, Jean Paul, Wild Godine, Daniel, and Josh, who had to step out. Thank you for being part of the Izzyverse. Until next time, guys, Excelsior.